We got a quarterback change in Ann Arbor. Davis Warren, the former walk-on, well, he's out of there. And now, well, it's time for Alex Orji, according to head coach Sharon Moore. Here to break it all down, 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting, Andrew Ivins. Drew, always good to see you. You and I were texting about it earlier, Drew. How do you feel about this? USC on the horizon. What do we think about Alex Orji in the big house?
Cooper, I'm concerned for Michigan. Alex Orji, he is a very talented athlete, but I do not think he is an elite quarterback. This is a kid that completed just 48% of his passes as a senior in high school. Cooper, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass of more than 10 yards since October 22nd of 2021. This is a guy that some schools viewed as a wide receiver. Others thought he was a running back. You know, we saw him last week for the Wolverines. He was obviously spliced in a little bit with a few packages in the college football playoff. But I have a ton of question marks about him as a passer, his ability to attack down the field. I think if you're Michigan, you need to think of Alex Orji like Boston College does with Thomas Castellanos, who was also recruited to play some other positions. So I'm interested to see kind of what the offensive game plan is for Michigan on Saturday against a revamped USC defense. But Alex Orji, he's going to have to do it with his legs.
All right, we know about the present. We got Orji, we got Davis Warren, a former walk-on who's already started a couple games for the Wolverines. What about the future, Drew? You're the director of scouting at 24/7 Sports. You're the guy who's supposed to look into the crystal ball. Is this getting any better for Michigan in terms of their quarterback outlook?
I think I'm even more concerned about the long-term outlook for Michigan. Cooper, I want to ask you this. How come no one has brought up Jaden Davis, the four-star quarterback that Michigan signed this past recruiting cycle? Let's not forget, there was a time when Jaden Davis was ranked ahead of Dylan Raiola. Jaden Davis was ranked ahead of DJ Lagway. He didn't play in any all-star games because he wanted to go through those college football playoff practices with the Wolverines. I'm just surprised we haven't heard from him. Now, do we think he's as talented as Lagway and Raiola? Probably not. But at the end of the day, Cooper, this is a kid that completed 70.3% of his passes as a senior. His 11.73 yards per attempt were the best amongst all the quarterbacks in the top 247. So I'm concerned about the Michigan quarterback situation because Jaden Davis's name hasn't come up. And then when you look towards the 2025 recruiting class, the 2026 recruiting class, Michigan has quarterback commits in both of them. And I have questions about those guys as a passer as well. So if you want to use the crystal ball and kind of look ahead to the future, I think we're going to be talking about Michigan and a potential transfer quarterback. I think they're going to be in the market for one of the top arms that comes available in December.
I think this week will tell us a lot. I think looking at the tape, they don't trust Alex Orji as a passer. Only 6 passing attempts this year. Only 1 attempt over 10-plus yards. So we'll see what happens against the Trojans this weekend in Ann Arbor. Drew, are you ready for it? It's here. Arch Mania already, year 2 of his career as he gets his first start this weekend against ULM. We know Quinn Ewers has been out with an injury. He came in last week 9-12, 223 yards, 5 total touchdowns, including a 67-yard run. Drew, tell me you're excited about Arch Manning, and guess what? I think he's like 6 in the Heisman odds.
I mean, Cooper, could you draw up a better situation for him? You know, ULM actually kind of has like a formidable defense if you look at the advanced metrics, but Texas has an elite offensive line. And they got, I think, what might be the nation's top wide receiver room. Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, Ryan Wingo, Jonte Cook, Silas Bolden, DeAndre Moore. I can keep going on and on. Arch is going to have some targets and some weapons to throw to. I think the biggest thing for me, Cooper, and I say this all the time about these high-profile quarterbacks, I want to see what happens once he makes a mistake. He hasn't thrown an interception yet in live college game action. Dylan Raiola, he just threw his first pick last week, and they pulled him out of the game because they were already winning against Northern Iowa. So my question with Arch Manning is what happens when, there is some adversity? And we'll see. I mean, ULM, I think Texas should easily be able to move the ball against it. But that's the one question for me. Cooper, the other thing, I know this is a kid that you had live exposure to, right? You went down to New Orleans and you got a chance to see him play. How much have we seen him grow? Go back to that spring game 2 years ago, 5 of 13 passing, 30 yards. A lot of people were giving us, throwing it at our face that was our number 1 ranked prospect. But to me, based on what we saw against UTSA, he looks to be a little ahead of schedule here.
Still early, but the haters used to call him Arch Smith. If his last name was any different, he'd be a 3-star. I don't think that's the case. I think we saw that against Texas San Antonio. I want to see what he looks like in his first start against ULM, the nephew of Peyton and Eli, the grandson of Archie. Drew, I didn't see any of those guys moving around like that. I wasn't alive when Archie was playing ball. I heard he can move a little bit, but that 67-yard run, that gets me excited. I know the passer is going to continue to emerge as well. All right, Drew, let's talk about one of your favorite guys, C.J. Bailey, the former teammate of Jeremiah Smith down there at Chaminade Madonna, going to get the start this weekend at Clemson, 20-point dogs, NC State, as Bailey fills in for Grayson McCall. Drew, I kind of think this is a big opportunity for the kid.
Cooper, I'm going to give you 3 numbers here, right? 38, 2, and 3. 38, that's the amount of games Cedric Bailey won in high school. 2 is the losses. 3 is the number of state title rings he got at Chaminade Madonna Prep. Cedric Bailey's a guy that I think grew on us more throughout the evaluation process. And I really go back to his early on in the senior season against Miami Central. Yeah, he's throwing to Jeremiah Smith, the megastar freshman that's now at Ohio State. He's got JoJo Trader on the other side of the field. But this kid has delivered in key moments, 321 yards, 4 touchdowns in that game against Miami Central, which had one of the nation's top high school defenses. Cooper, he is 6'6". He looks like he's an NBA player. He's got a funky release, but I think if you kind of close your eyes and just look at where the football goes, you'll be pleased with it. Now, NC State, they too have some talented weapons. Grayson McCall hasn't, I think, worked out there in Raleigh, and now he's injured. Cedric Bailey steps in. I mean, not the ideal situation going to face a Dabo Swinney defense full of future NFL players, but Cooper, completed 70% of his passes his senior year of high school, saw him against Louisiana Tech. I think this is a guy that can create both with his arm and his legs. He's a bit fearless out there.
Drew, great to see you, brother. Thanks for dropping the knowledge, as always. And if you like Andrew Ivins and you like more recruiting and scouting talk, well, I got just the show for you. Introducing the 105, keeping up with today's college football news cycle. Guess what? It's not for the faint of heart. The good news, the best in the business are here to break it all down. 2 episodes a week. Join Andrew Ivins, the 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting, and me, Cooper Petagna, every Monday and Wednesday on the CBS Sports Network and 24/7 Sports YouTube channel.